Alright, so 1974 Washington quarter. Now this quarter isn't super valuable, but we're going to start off here first with a coin that has been broad struck, which we can see clearly here in the image displayed. Pretty noticeable type of error. You don't need a coin microscope for anything like this. Very obvious type of mint error here. This coin only sold for around 40 US dollars. Now, if we move on to this coin, this is a 1974 D mint mark here. Now, this coin is solely valuable because it has that high grade of a mint state 67. As I always refer to, I know a lot of you guys that watch every day get tired of hearing me say the coin grading scale only goes up to 70. This is at a 67. 70 is the best grade you can possibly get. And because of that grade, this coin sold for around $295, nearly a $300 quarter. Now this next quarter is very interesting. So we have to convert this. It weighs 91 grains to grams. Alright, so it weighs about 5.89 grams. Typically these are about 5.67, I believe, if I got my math correctly. This is 1974 D mint mark. It doesn't have the D mint mark listed on the coin slab, which is interesting. However, this is graded at an extra fine 45, and it has a non-copper chlor planchet. So this is a very interesting type of error. This coin here sold for over $230. Next up is a 1974, another mint error, of course, that has the obverse struck through a cap die. So I love die cap coins. Always be on the lookout for these, in coin rolls from the bank on pennies, nickels, dimes, all that good stuff. You never know what you can find out there. This quarter here sold for around $280. Moving on to a 1974 D mint mark. Now this coin here has been both double struck, off center, and it's got an indent error. So we got a lot of different mint errors going on here with this quarter. Now this quarter here is a pretty extreme type of error. Of course, we're not really searching for stuff like this in coin rolls, but I had to throw it in since it is a 1974. This coin sold for around $450. Now this next quarter is something that is probably one of my favorites of this video, probably one of my favorite type of mint errors. It's a double strike and collar with that flip over, which we see here, the reverse design going through the obverse of the coin. So you can actually see the leaves here going through Washington's neck. You can see part of the lettering there going around the rim of the coin from the reverse. And then we see that design from the reverse going through Washington's head as well. That is a very awesome type of mint error. I love double strikes and flip overs here where we got the reverse on the obverse. Now look at this. We see the phrase, the motto, "In God We Trust" from the front of the coin here on the reverse of the coin. That is just amazing. Absolutely love this quarter. This coin sold for around $375. So that is something, it can fit in a coin roll. Finding one is going to be super rare. That's why they're called rare coins. But if you did come across something like this, look at that, man, $375. I personally would not sell that if I came across that. I would get it graded and keep it for my own collection. Now here's a 1974 that has a very high grade of a mint state 67. So same with the first coin. That's why the coin is valuable, because it has that high grade of a mint state 67 graded by PCGS. This quarter here sold for over $380. Next up is going to be a 1974, of course, with the reverse clad layer missing. So we see here on the front of the coin that it is normal, the clad layer is there, but here on the reverse of the coin, that clad layer is missing. So as a result, you see that inner copper layer core of the quarter. So this coin here sold for over $100. Next up is a 1974 D mint mark that was actually struck on the wrong planchet. It was struck on a Liberia 25-cent planchet. It only weighs 4.6 grams. Looks like it's worn down, but it's actually struck on a foreign planchet. And this quarter here sold for over $270. Next up is a 1974 D mint mark again that was struck on a nickel planchet, so a 5-cent planchet. So essentially a quarter design on a nickel planchet. This coin only weighs 4.9 grams, and this quarter sold for around $240. Next up, instead of being struck on a nickel or a foreign planchet, this quarter design here was struck on a 1-cent planchet. So it only weighs 3.05 grams. So essentially a quarter design struck on a Lincoln cent planchet. Now this quarter here sold for over $575. Now here's another example, a different example of that. This coin only weighs 2.9 grams, quarter struck on a 1-cent planchet. This coin sold for over $700. Wow, can't beat that. Now here is the proof quarter for 1974. It is the S Mint mark, of course. It has a perfect grade. You cannot get any higher than a 70, graded at a proof 70 deep cameo. This quarter sold for nearly $11,000, over $10,900 for this Washington quarter. So big difference between proof quarters and business strike quarters. If you haven't seen my proof coin videos, just type in proof coins couch collectibles and you'll find those videos. Now let's check out some other quarters that are worth money. The 1970 Washington quarter. Now this is actually the proof coin. So this is the 1970S San Francisco Mint Washington quarter, and it's been double struck. So we can see that here on the images displayed, we see the word Liberty there struck. The whole design of the coin has been struck and rotated. We see "In God We Trust," the phrase there towards the bottom by Washington's neck. And then we also see the date 70 twice, and the mint mark, the S Mint mark there on the right side of the coin. So because of that error, this coin sold for over $1,900. Alright, next up, on the 1970 quarter, you want to look for doubling. So this is the 1970D Denver Minted Washington quarter. You want to look for doubling on the front of the coin, specifically there on the date. If you look at that 1, you can really see the doubling there at the top and on the side. So always be on the lookout for that. If we look at the 7 there, we can also see that as well. So always look for doubling on the date 1970. Now here's an example of a 1970D that has that doubling on the front of the coin. It's graded at about uncirculated 50, and this coin sold for over $1,200. A $1,200 quarter here. Now if we move on to the next one, this is the same type of coin. It's graded at a mint state 65, however. So it's got a much higher grade than the last coin, but it still has that doubling on the front of the coin. So we go from a $1,200 coin to this coin here selling for over $2,800. So a big difference just because of the condition or the grade of the coin. Now for the reverse of the 1970 quarter, you also want to look for doubling on the lettering as well. So if you guys want to see your coins up close, get you a USB coin microscope on couchcollectibles.com. Link is always in the description of each video. So here's an example of the 1970D that has that double die reverse, that DDR. And this 1970 Washington quarter sold for over $1,500. $1,500. Now this next quarter here is obviously an error coin. So it is missing the clad layer. So very interesting error coin here. Would love to find something like this in my pocket change. This coin is not the most valuable, but it's still a $100 quarter. We can see the copper inner layer of the quarter there on the front because of that missing clad layer. And then there on the reverse, you see the clad layer is still there. So very cool error coin, $100 quarter. Also an off-center error. This one is struck pretty much off-center. It's struck 55% off-center. So you can look for this type of error on just about any type of coin. And this 1970 quarter sold for over $125. For the 1970D, the high-graded version of the coin, this coin doesn't have any types of errors or anything like that. This is just an extremely high-graded coin, which means it's in excellent condition. This coin sold for over $2,900. Moving right along to a 1970D Washington quarter that was struck on a 10-cent planchet. So that means that this quarter was struck on a dime, essentially. So it's graded at about uncirculated 58. You can see that the whole design of the quarter does not fit on the planchet, and this coin here sold for over $390. Alright guys, don't forget to subscribe in the middle, check out the videos to the left of me, and until tomorrow, I will see you on the comment section below. This is Couch Collectibles, and this is where I disappear.